Hey, welcome back to another episode of Slice of Life. It's a project that we show, and this is once again what used to be the Naruto project, which was a psychiatric self-therapeutic multimedia project, and also a self-improvement process for a variety of goals for ourselves and others, and was and now developed into grown, burgeoned, blossomed into something much more extensive, far greater manifestation of ourselves, and involves a variety of, again, formats, media, analogies, series, and so on and so forth, which with the crux of which most episodes are going to be uploaded between the times of 6:30 to 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time (EST) in the morning, typically on Spotify, YouTube, WordPress, and so on and so forth, as articles, podcasts, videos, and so on and so forth. And so this episode is going to be a bit of continuation, the second of 3 episodes on basically a decluttering, but that's not really the way to look at these episodes. They all can be standalone on themselves. It's about the topics that you'll see in the title. And so in this episode, right, as you can expect, what we see in the title, which I haven't named yet, honestly, but I'm going to go on a limb here that basically this episode is going to be focused on medicine, specifically medicine, healthcare, hospitalization, a variety of conditions. It's going to be, I guess, far more informative and educational. So this is going to be one of those episodes where we're covering a lot about biology, pathology, and diseases, illnesses, and treatments, and so on and so forth, and the mechanisms of it's gonna be like a chubby emu kind of thing, I guess. So without further ado, right, so we have about at least, I think, half the tabs here on medicine related when it comes to Firefox, and I mentioned this a little bit of storytelling out back, is that basically the reason why that is because I actually got severely ill, and because I had co-infection with between a respiratory illness like influenza, RSV, or COVID, or the common cold, at the same time with something that was more like food poisoning or the stomach flu, norovirus, something like that, so digestive tract. And so the combination, which made me really, really ill, I got food poisoning. And so at that time, I went to the UHN, which is the University Health Network. And so one of the great things that happened was that I was hospitalized. It's not a great thing necessarily. The experience was not that great. But needless to say, it was, I have no regrets. What kind of fucking dude is it? I have no regrets getting food poisoning. It was a horrible time. I was like throwing up and everything, but no regrets, because it kind of forced me to take care of certain things that I had wanted to get done anyway. So one of those of which is that I now have an online patient database account affiliated with one of the main hospital institutions down in this kind of metropolis core, which is Mount Sinai, Princess Margaret, Sick Kids, and Toronto General and Toronto Western. So they have an online database through which I used to volunteer for a hospital as well, and they use the exact same system in SHN, which is Scarborough Health Network. It's called Epic. So all the volunteers and staff had to learn how to use the Epic system. Epic is basically program software developed by Epic Systems to almost connect, liaise, and centralize all information that you can. So for example, if you're a family member trying to visit one of your beloved who's fallen ill or been through accidental injury, or has been hospitalized because of some kind of like criminal incident, and you're visiting them, a volunteer or a staff member can easily pull up the information as to which bedroom they're in, where they're located, which department, and send you to the right location, provided that they have access to Epic. And so this is one of the things that I was supposed to learn until COVID dropped by, and then I decided, I was to stop volunteering. Needless to say, it is one of those systems that is, I think it's very well done, and so this is the main page here. It is specialized. You as an organization, let's say you're a hospital director, okay, and you are you want to work kind of like B2B business with well, it's public healthcare, so it's not business to business. It's more like government to business relations. But you reach out to Epic System. You want to form some sort of deal and some client-based partnership. And basically, what they can do is cater their software, their SaaS software as a service to your particular hospital network. So in this case, even though it's the same system, Epic, they've kind of personalized it to be named MyUHN, so it can match with the hospital organization's branding and PR and imaging. And so you can see here various options: communicate with your clinic, access your test results. If you need help, contact support at MyUHN at uhn.ca, call 416-340-3777. Again, nothing here is private because I can disclose this. It's just like public, open information. Again, this might even be helpful if you're living in this area, in this country, in this city. This is, again, so we have your account here, sign in, sign up now, and so on and so forth. So you can actually access all of your test results, whether it's your analysis or blood test samples or your CT scan or MRI scan. You can retrieve all of that information yourself now. It's no longer like 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago where you have to go through this ridiculous process of filling up all these paper forms, paperwork, give it to your physician, to your family doctor, they come back to you, and then you go back and forth, and over 2, 3, 4, 5 months, then you finally get your records, and then it might be missing something and to repeat the same process all over again. It's much more simpler, it's much more streamlined, it's much more centralized, and that's because of Epic, among various other software systems. So things are much more up to date now. Anyways, this is the first tab. So obviously I'm not going to log in, I'm not going to show you I'm not going to show you my profile, right? Confidentiality, disclosure, all that kind of stuff. So the next thing, okay, we'll cover now. All right, so that had a lot to do with, obviously that was highly specific to like a regional demographic. Like if you live in the particular city that I live in, that doesn't end, attend to, you go to emergency services of that specific hospital network. But going forward, the information here is going to be much more broad and generalized. So again, things that are relevant to me, but unnecessarily, I might not be suffering from these conditions or pathologies. I'm just doing research because there are certain things in my test results that might suggest that I want to be wary of, right? Just because, you want to do preventative measures, right? Or maybe you want to learn more about something that might be a potential issue, even though you're not diagnosed with it. Doesn't mean that you can't take active steps to, again, prevention in medicine. Prevention is always better than cure. You never want to get to the point where you have a failing organ or you're going through like cirrhosis or something like that. You want to make sure that you can prevent before you cure, because your body will never be able to recover itself fully 100% to the way that it once was. Once you receive some sort of chronic injury, some side effects are reversible, but many of those are irreversible, and no amount of medication or treatment or physiotherapy can bring your body back to where it once was. Bleh. And so as a result, health is number one, right? Health is very important. Of course, that's also true for a variety of other things. That's just kind of a life thing, right? In life, there's a lot of things that are irreversible, right? So there's a lot of things that you gotta be, proactive, better safe than sorry. Not all the time. You don't need to be a panicky, anxious mess, but understand there's a lot of things that you can't take back. So health is one of those things. So for example, your kidney, your heart, and liver failure, those are fairly important organs. And so we'll be talking about that right now. So this tab is what level of protein in urine, what does it mean? So I just Googled it quickly here because there was a urine analysis. Again, doesn't mean I went through anything. My results were fairly promising, but still, there were some things that I wanted to look deeper into. Okay? So this for me, of course, is going to be a bit of review because I did study this kind of stuff when I was back in university and so on and so forth. So this is not new for me, but still it's good review because I forget, right? I need to remind myself of these things as well. So over here, just an overview from, it's like a brief overview using AI. I just put it onto like Bing, and Bing gave us a summary. It says in regular urine, protein levels are typically low, and it's great because like Copilot always gives you all the references, right? So you can always look it up if you want to find the original source of information. So in regular urine, protein levels are typically low, less than 150 milligrams or 0.15 grams of protein excreted per day, and that's to be expected. You're not supposed to have protein in your urine. Proteinuria, the presence of abnormally high amounts of protein in urine, is indicated by exceeding the threshold and can be measured in grams per liter. So here's a more detailed breakdown. Healthy kidney filters most proteins. Very little protein should be present, typically less than 150. Some sources define normal urine as less than 30 milligrams per gram, so a different unit of measure. A urine albumin creatinine ratio, a UACR, of less than 30 milligrams per gram is normal. Persistent sign or significant proteinuria can be a sign of kidney disease or damage, right? Injury. Factors that can cause temporary increases, right? Like diet, dehydration, stress, pregnancy, infection, and strenuous exercise. Of course, on the side here, they have the various references from the National Center for whatever Biochemical Institute. NCBI, very popular one. AAFP, American Association of something of, I don't know what the last two stands for. And the National Kidney Foundation, again, another organization I think non-profit or NGO that you'll find in the States. When to seek medical attention, persistent significant proteinuria, elevated levels of protein, blah blah. Going further down, you have a variety of articles like Healthline and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to go through that. Let's move on to the next tab. Okay, so really on a related note, so that was protein, and protein can be measured in various types of protein that is typically assessed for in your urinalysis, which is creatinine, albumin, and certain other enzymes actually. So over here we have ketonuria. So this is specifically, it's not a protein, this is of ketones, which is a sort of molecular compound. So ketonuria, if it's kind of throwback to organic chemistry, indicates your body is burning fat for energy, while regular blood ketone levels in millimoles per liter reflect the amount of ketones in your blood, with levels below 0.5 millimoles per liter being considered normal, and higher levels potentially indicating a risk of diabetic ketoacidosis. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, if you take a look at the Latin abbreviations, right, it's diabetes, ketoacidosis, right? So acid in blood, ketones, right? And the way this works is that basically your liver stores a lot of fat. This is just a very broad rundown based off my whatever remnants of my information is still remaining. But your liver serves a lot of different functions. It's a very critical, important organ, right? I think everyone knows that by now. And one of the things that it does, aside from detox, is that it stores energy, long-term energy stores. So it's risky because if you eat too much or whatever, do a variety of unhealthy things, they can all contribute to you having a fatty liver. And fatty liver disease is fairly common actually because of sedentary lifestyle. But also it's a disease that is, let's just say it's unfortunate to say this, but it is something that the sizable proportion of the population can expect as they get older. It's just something that there's just too many curveballs in life, and there's always going to be something that's going to throw you off the rails, so it's to be expected. But long story short, an excess of fat in the liver, and that's because one of the main functions aside from detox, which is very important, that liver does is it also stores fat and then breaks down that fat and metabolizes it into glucose, sugar, whenever you're low on energy. And so it stores fat in the liver and then it breaks it down, metabolizes it when you're going through a period of, say, fasting, or you're what scenario you're starving, for whatever reason, got stranded in the middle of the island in the Pacific, and now you're starving and you're not eating anything for like 2 days straight. That kind of happened to me when I got food poisoning. I couldn't eat anything, right? But whatever examples you have, maybe you're fasting for like Ramadan or something, or maybe you're going through some kind of specific diet. This is what happens, right? So it breaks it down. And then the end result is ketones, right? So there are other byproducts of breaking down fat stores, and that is ketones. Okay, so going further down here, show more. When glucose scars turns to fat, alternative fuel source, right? Putting ketones in the process, good. So I still have that information. It's always nice to see that. I still got it. We still got it, boy. Yeah. All right, blood ketone levels, normal ranges. It's cringeworthy as fuck. Less than 0.6, or I say it, but not really. Considered normal for most people. Urine ketones, small trace amounts are normal and safe, but moderate to large amounts can be a sign of a problem. I can't remember the connection with diabetes, but it's probably going to run through it right now. High blood ketones, levels of 0.6 to 1.5 millimoles per liter might indicate a slightly high level. Above are considered very high, potentially dangerous, especially people with diabetes. Don't have that, but I still have to be, just watch it. High urine, it doesn't matter whether you have diabetes or not. Just as a person, you probably just shouldn't eat anything that has a high sugar content all the time. Once in a while is fine, right? You can always have an ice cream once in a while, but not all the time. High urine ketones if you have diabetes, high levels of ketones. Diabetic acidosis, serious complication. Diabetes can occur when the body produces too many ketones, leading to a buildup of acid in the blood. Again, factors causing ketonuria aside from, pathologies. So it might be a high fever, it might be eating disorder, it might be alcohol consumption. One of the main reasons for fatty liver disease is excessive alcohol consumption. Again, we're not talking about your recreational thing. It's okay, every couple weeks or every couple months you go to a bar and have a couple drink with your friends. It's not okay if you have, several, beers every single fucking day, or you have, rum, vodka, heavy alcohol every single day, multiple times a day, right? And that will destroy your liver. Hyperthyroidism, breastfeeding, fasting, low carbohydrate diets, okay? And so monitor your ketones, long story short. Again, we go further down here. People also ask questions like, what is the normal range for ketonuria? What is normal urine ketone level? What does 2+ ketones in urine mean? And so on and so forth. And we go down furthermore, there are more tabs here. Cleveland Clinic, medical news today. Ketones, what they are, function, tests, normal levels, so on and so forth. Causes, symptoms, treatments from medical news today, WebMD, and so on and so forth. It's interesting that nowadays you can go to these websites and you can actually find a professional, reliable information. Whereas you go back like 15, 20 years ago, what was the key thing that I was brought up, right? Being told in like 2001, right? The librarian, I was like, 8, 9, 10 years old, and the first thing they would always tell the classroom is take whatever you see online with a grain of salt. And you should still do that today, but it's a lot more comprehensive now, because now there's a variety of information that's actually kind of reliable. Whereas before, it's like, if you go on Wikipedia, remember most of the stuff there is just garbage. But it's so interesting how things have changed now. Obviously, it's like more than 2 decades ago, obviously. Next tab. Okay, so this one, if you can't tell, I'm going through a lot of measures through blood tests and urine samples. Okay, so this one is high bilirubin levels. So this one's related to the gallbladder. Okay, can be early sign of liver or bile duct problems, potentially indicating liver damage or other conditions like biliary tract disease or gallstones, and should be investigated by a doctor. Okay, again, not something that I do necessarily concerned about, but it is something that I do want to read up on at the very least. So bilirubin is and of course, again, learned about this before. This will be in every. You don't even have to be in post-secondary. You could just be in high school. You'll learn about this. It'll be like some grade 11, some grade 11 biology textbook. So this is going to be fairly rudimentary information at this point. It's just a digestive tract. So bilirubin is a yellow pigment that is a byproduct of normal breakdown of red blood cells or erythrocytes. Liver's process, bilirubin, normally excreted through the bile into the intestines. Normally, bilirubin shouldn't be present in urine, but its presence can be a sign of liver or bile duct problems. Causes of high bilirubin in urine: liver disease. So 1, 2, 3. Liver disease conditions like hepatitis, cirrhosis, liver tumors can cause bilirubin to break down into the bloodstream and be excreted into the urine. Biliary tract problems, issues like gallstones or blockage of bile ducts can also lead to. They're using technical terminology here, but you don't really need bilirubinuria. They also just stick some kind of Latin prefix and suffix and make extra large words for unnecessary reasons, but the point is excess of bilirubin. Other conditions, certain medications, infections, even some cancers can also contribute to elevated. Okay, so further down, symptoms, diagnosis, bilirubin, excess bilirubin in your urine may not cause any noticeable symptoms, but sometimes people with high bilirubin levels may experience jaundice, yellowing of skin and eyes, dark urine, and pale stomach. So that's all affiliated with liver damage, okay, as well. Importance of investigation: if you suspect you have this, it's important to consult with a doctor, determine the underlying cause, and receive appropriate treatment. Going further down, if bilirubin is found in urine, it may be a sign of liver disease, hepatitis, cirrhosis, any one of those. It could be a blockage of your bile ducts, the tubes that carry all your liver, so on and so forth. Okay? People also ask, what does high bilirubin in urine mean? Can dehydration cause high bilirubin? Should I worry about high bilirubin? Blah, 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 blah. And again, the same things popping up over and over again. Cleveland Clinic, Mount Sinai, discussions and forums. Okay? So Mount Sinai is actually one of these hospitals that's kind of near my place. Let me see the time here. So we're about 20 minutes in. I don't think I can cover all the medical stuff here, unfortunately, but we'll see. Let's see what we can get through. So I was curious about this. I posed a question relating food poisoning to high ketones in urine. So, can food poisoning cause high ketones in urine? Okay, so yes, food poisoning, especially if it causes prolonged vomiting and or diarrhea, can lead to high ketone levels in urine because the body may run out of glucose for energy, forcing it to burn fat instead, producing ketones. Then that's exactly what happened to me, actually. I didn't eat anything for 2 days straight. So for 48 hours, I had no food. So anyways, a more detailed explanation lead to ketones. Severe vomiting and diarrhea lead to dehydration, lack of carbohydrate intake. Body doesn't have enough glucose, sugar, energy, starts breaking down fat for fuel, produces ketones. Ketones build in blood, eventually spill over into urine, causing ketonuria. Very straightforward biological mechanism. On the side there, other causes could be low carb diets, diabetes, could be starvation, could be eating disorders, illness or infection, right, so on and so forth. Further on the right, diabetic ketoacidosis, Mayo Clinic. Diabetes and DKA, ketoacidosis, ketones in urine causes symptoms and treatment, Cleveland Clinic. Yeah. And symptoms, high ketones, frequent urination. That's disgusting. So symptoms of high ketones, fruity smelling breath, extreme fatigue. Sorry, I actually read something else. I saw something that wasn't there, but anyways, we're not going to mention what I thought I read. Nausea, vomiting, breathing difficulty, abdominal pain. Went to seek medical advice. No, anyways, going further down. Cleveland Clinic is a normal type of ketones in urine when sick. Can food poisoning cause ketoacidosis? Blah, blah, blah. You know, the same stuff. Okay? All right. I think this might be the last tab. Let's see what's the next one. All right. Yeah, but we're gonna have to wrap this one up here. Unfortunately, to break this into 2 episodes as well. This will be like 4 back-to-back recordings. Don't really want to do that, but you know, we don't have much of a choice. So, anyways, can food poisoning cause protein in urine? Yeah. So instead of ketones or bilirubin, now we're going back to protein, and again, we're relating it to food poisoning. So yes, while not always, food poisoning can sometimes cause protein in the urine due to conditions like kidney inflammation or kidney damage caused by certain infections or toxins. Here's a more detailed explanation. Kidney function filter waste excess fluid from your blood. Normally they prevent protein from passing into the urine, but when there's too much protein in the kidney damage, the health issues, again, nothing. At this point, it's almost like regurgitation, almost like repeating myself. It's like, so I don't feel like covering this too much, but food poisoning, kidney issues, foodborne illnesses can cause it. Glomerulonephritis, infection of the glomerulus, which is like a structure within the kidney damage. That's basically, that's physiology again. Then proteinuria, certain toxins, food poisoning during damaged kidneys, dehydration, common symptom of food poisoning. Also a temporary, rare cases, foodborne illnesses like E. coli. So Escherichia coli can cause hemolytic uremic syndrome, condition leading to kidney failure, and blah blah blah. Further down, other causes, temporary versus persistent, seeking medical advice. Again, usually it's not. You don't have to, be too alarmed. But if you do see stuff like blood, or you see cloudy urine, persistently over the course of a few days, you should probably seek medical advice. You see your family doctor or whatever, okay? But outside of that, if it's just going to be like a one-off thing, you probably don't need to worry of too much, okay? And that's about it. But again, none of this, just to be clear, I don't think I have to mention this, but I'm going to say it and make sure it's explicit anyways. None of this is to be taken for medical advice. This is all just like me running through a variety of experiences, information, research, and so on and so forth, and a review of stuff that I just want to talk about because I want to talk about it, Shit, I just want to talk about shit. It's good to be able to, I don't talk about this, like a lot of the stuff that you can't have a conversation about on a daily basis because you don't always have that kind of conversation with people in necessarily your circle unless you work in that field, it's just, it's like a missed opportunity. I like to talk about this, but I can't talk about it with the people who I work with because where I work, I don't work in a medical setting anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore. And so it's nice to revisit information that I used to know, or, just have conversations about stuff that I used to know, that I used to be able to have with people. And I can't do that anymore. Now I usually talk about like retail, logistics, and warehousing, and like other things on the side, like just like, how's it going, catching up, and just, cracking some jokes left or right, stuff that doesn't really happen in like a hospital setting, right? So all right, I think that's where I'm going to leave it off at. We have a bunch of stuff here, and I'm going to try to just wrap up this episode and see what I'm going to title it. There's a lot of medical stuff, and so as a result, we can't cover it all in one single episode, unfortunately, because it's like 25-30 minutes now, but that's all right. So I do like talking about this stuff, so we'll revisit this in the next episode or the one after. So I'll see you guys in the next one, and I'm signing out. And again, if there's anything relevant here that you thought was interesting or whatever, like, feel free to just drop it down in the comments or just like share your thoughts. That being said, I'm signing out, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.